everybody. Welcome to Truth About Design, where we give candid truths and guidance for the design industry. This time we're talking about specialists versus generalists. What's better in the design industry? Now, when I'm out teaching, I frequently get asked, what's better? To be a jack of all trades designer or someone that specializes in one specific area of UX? Should I be a full stack designer? A unicorn? What do all these terms even mean? Now let's ignore all of those dumb terms for a moment and let's focus on the real question. Should I focus on being good at one thing, or should I try to be good at all of the things? Is it even possible to be equally good at all parts of the design process? So what's the answer? Is it better to be a specialist or a generalist? In order to answer that, I would like to think 1 degree further out and draw a comparison to the medical field, because I think in this respect, the design field is a lot like the medical field. So in the medical field, for the first few years of the path to becoming a doctor, you get basic training or general education of the body and its functions. And after this general education, many doctors decide to stick to just being generalists, also called general practitioners. And I'm aware that this is grossly simplified, but bear with me. Being a general practitioner is sufficient for most cases. However, sometimes you need deeper knowledge to solve very specific problems. And for those cases, some doctors go on and study a few more years to specialize on particular parts of the body, like the brain, the heart, or the feet, or how to make people's faces look younger. Now, those specialists end up working either in their own practice or at a big clinic where their services are needed often. They also likely contribute to their specific niche in the medical industry in the form of submitting new research papers to help push the field forward. But every medical student starts their education with a baseline of general knowledge about how the body functions. It's generally not possible to be equally good at unrelated specialties like heart surgery and sports medicine, because those individual specializations are too deep to master both equally in any reasonable amount of time. By the time you've mastered one, you'd have already forgotten half of the other. See, the truth about design is that for the first 3 years of your career, you're going to be a general design practitioner. If you go to any good design program, you're going to learn and practice the full spectrum of UX disciplines. And also in the first 3 years of your job, you're simply not going to be good enough at anything to be able to specialize on just one thing. So you're still learning. You just got out of school. Being a generalist is great for at least 80% of cases where a designer is needed. See, jack of all trades generalists make great freelancers and great employees at design agencies or small to mid-sized companies. Most companies don't need full-time specialists all of the time. It's very rare that a company needs enough usability testing for someone to do nothing but usability testing full-time. Same with content strategy or information architecture. In most real-life situations, you don't need to be a master of one discipline of UX. You need to be competent at a number of disciplines and be able to switch between them. This is also important from a team perspective. If multiple people have overlapping skill sets, then once you're maxed out on the amount of work you can take on, someone else on the team can help out, you can switch around, and everyone can evenly distribute the work around. So that's great about being a generalist. However, it's not the generalists that push the industry forward. All of the deep expertise we have in the industry came from the specialists who spent years getting better and better at some niche part of the profession, and then spent more years talking about it at conferences and writing articles and books. Specialists draw from the deep wellspring of new ideas, and then they spread that knowledge out to the masses of generalists. I'm talking about people like Luke Wroblewski, the expert on mobile design, or Jorge Aranjo, the eminent expert on information architecture, or Alan Cooper, the man who invented most of the UX research techniques we use today. Without these specialized experts, the generalists would have no knowledge to draw from. See, and this is the true meaning of the T-shaped person. Now, if you look at this graph, the horizontal top line is a set of skills in which you have decent understanding and knowledge, and the vertical center line is a single skill in which you have deep expertise. For example, you might be decent at creating prototypes and code, doing user research and doing visual design and usability testing, but when it comes to strategy definition and interaction design, you are a master. And once you've acquired that level of mastery, which comes, as you progress through your career, you can, if you like, go to the designer's equivalent of a big medical clinic where highly specialized skills are needed. The designer's equivalent of that big clinic is a big tech company like Google, Apple, or Facebook. And after a few years there, you might find the work you do at a big company like that too stifling, but that's a story for another article. So now you might be wondering, how do I discover my specialties? Well, discovering your specialty will come as a natural consequence of pushing yourself hard in your career. So if you decide to just do WordPress redesigns for the rest of your life, sure, you'll never need to specialize. And if that's your thing, that's cool. I won't judge you for it. But don't you want to know how far you can go? Where your limits are? And if you stick to just one trick, being that one-trick pony, what are you going to do when the market shifts and that one trick that you know how to do is no longer needed? Let me give you an example from my own career. When I was first starting out, I did everything, including coding. Once I even wrote a basic content management system for a client in PHP. Now, as the projects I worked on got larger and more complex, I noticed that I hit a plateau when it came to my coding skills. I just didn't understand JavaScript, and I could tell that that was clearly where the industry was going. So I gave up coding in order to focus on just the design aspect as part of a larger team. And as I progressed through my career, I hit similar plateaus with research and with visual design. Sure, I'm a pretty good researcher, but I couldn't hold a candle to the researchers at Walmart or Google who had degrees in psychology and anthropology and did this all day. I'm a very, very competent visual designer, better than most visual designers, but I hit a similar plateau when I was working with the visual designers at Google, who are basically artists moonlighting as UI designers during the day. But as I've gone through my career and have interacted with hundreds or even thousands of different designers, I haven't been able to find an interaction designer that is clearly better than me. And I noticed that those designers and researchers that were better than me, they never really thought about strategy or markets or context the way that I do. So eventually, through the process of pushing myself into new and tougher situations, pieces of me fell away until all I was left with was interaction design and strategy. And a fortunate teaching opportunity I got a couple of years ago at General Assembly made me aware of my abilities as a public speaker, presenter, and writer, and that's my core skill set, at which I am able to play at the highest level with no plateaus in sight. But it's funny because even after you've realized what your core skill set is and you've narrowed yourself in that respect, the field just starts opening up again. And I still feel like I have so much more to learn. Okay, well, in summary, being a generalist is great, but if you're in the design industry, I truly hope that once you've mastered the basics and discovered which areas of the craft you gravitate towards the most, you decide to pick a specialty. What's cool about the design industry versus the medical field is that it's not nearly as complicated as the medical field. Design disciplines are more interconnected, so it actually is possible to develop deep expertise at multiple areas over the course of your career. Probably not all of them equally though, because you have to account for interest levels and natural inclinations. But deciding to pick a specialty is a deeply satisfying experience of finding out how far you are able to push yourself in your life. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, please subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.